Imagine a world similar to our own, but also very different. Now in this world, what if Nintendo made the N64 with a disk drive? What if Final Fantasy VII came out for the N64? What if Nintendo and Square Enix continued their partnership in the 6th generation of consoles? What if Nintendo helped make Kingdom Hearts? Alright, so in this hypothetical alternate reality, Nintendo was Square's partner for Kingdom Hearts instead of Disney, which means there are 0 changes to the main characters of Kingdom Hearts 1. So Sora, Riku, Kairi, and Ansem are all untouched. The same goes for the Final Fantasy characters too. And to keep things real-world accurate, that means the only franchise KH1 would have had access to would have been anything made before 2001. With all of that in mind, let's open with the first world, Disney Castle. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Mario takes the role of which means that Luigi would replace your first party member, so no more Donald. Queen Minnie's role would be replaced by Princess Peach herself, and the stand-in for Pluto would be Poochie from Yoshi's Island. You might be wondering, why not just Yoshi instead of Pluto? Well, I have bigger plans for him than just a glorified messenger. For the Goofy stand-in, I chose the Big Ape, Donkey Kong. In this alternate version, DK would also fight differently from Goofy, playing the role of the fighter in monk class instead of a traditional knight. Chip and Dale's collective role of Gummy Ship Engineer is then taken by Professor Gad, and Jiminy's cricket role of Archivist will be played by Navcon from Star Tropics, a game none of you have probably played. Now we move to Traverse Town. Traverse Town is home to a lot of miscellaneous characters not directly connected to any specific world we see later, but I will try my best to create some kind of thematic connection from the original to the replacement. First of all, we have our shopkeepers, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, who were replaced by Diddy, Dixie, and Funky Kong. Initially, I had Kiddy Kong in Funky's place, but I hate looking at Kiddy. The replacement for Cinderella's fairy godmother will be Cordelia, Queen of the Fairies from Japanese-only game Panel de Pon. Go play Panel de Pon, it's a great puzzle game. In a pick nobody saw coming, the role of Merlin will be taken by Lewin from Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. Both characters are notable magic users, and Genealogy of the Holy War even establishes that Lewin is a traveler, giving him a reason to be in Traverse Town contextually, even if he only travels the world and not the multiverse in this game. Traverse Town also establishes the side quest of finding all 101 Dalmatians from the movie 101 Dalmatians. Instead, we'll be finding the first 149 Pokemon and delivering them to Professor Oak because dogs are boring, Pokemon are cool. Next up, we have our first real world, Dreamland. It's taken over the position of Wonderland from Alice in Wonderland as the first world. This version takes inspiration from the plot of Kirby 64 and combines it with the plot of Wonderland itself. King Dedede would take over the role of the Red Queen, Ribbon the Fairy would take over the role as Alice, being the outsider who's blamed for the trouble the Heartless are causing, and Kirby himself would run around the world filling the role of the Cheshire Cat. But Kirby's interference would be accidental and be caused by him just running around instead of being a jerk like the Cheshire Cat. This version of the world would end just like the original, with Ribbon getting kidnapped by the Disney League of Villains, although now it's the Nintendo League of Villains. Fun fact, in KH1, because you can do the first 3 worlds in any order, the cutscene of Alice being kidnapped is replaced with Snow White. In this version, Snow White's place is taken by Lip, the main character of Panel de Pon. Next up, we have Metroid's Brinstar Depths, which will take the place of Deep Jungle from Tarzan. In an aesthetic sense, Brinstar would be equally as natural and barren as Deep Jungle. From a gameplay perspective, Brinstar caves and caverns could be just as confusing as the jungles in Deep Jungle. And Samus would act as a good guide for SLDK, similar to Tarzan. Just simply recontextualize that Samus getting hired to hunt down a Metroid like Heartless and Sora decides to help. Here you would receive the bounty under Keyblade in replacement of Jungle King. For the Olympus Coliseum knockoff, we're working with Angel Land from Kid Icarus, with Pit taking the place of Hercules, Medusa as Hades, and some random Centurion as Danny DeVito. The aesthetics would stay the same, and Cloud would just stand out a bit more. Nothing else really changes from there. Replacing the Ice Titan boss would be Articuno of Pokemon, and replacing the Rock Titan would be Meta Knight, because I can't think of anybody else, and that would be cool. Instead of getting Olympia, you would be getting the Goddess Arrow Keyblade. Once again, designed by me. Like the original game, after the first 3 worlds, we'll head back to Traverse Town for a brief moment to close the keyhole there and deliver the old book to Lewin. In the original game, you then access the 100 Acre Woods, where you play cute minigames with 0 combat. Here, you'd access the book that contains the paper version of the Mushroom Kingdom from Paper Mario, or Mario Story if you're a total weeb. Instead of doing minigames like in the original, you'd have traditional turn-based RPG battles in the style of classic Paper Mario. Here, you'd also receive Twink the Star as a summon to take the place of Tinkerbell. The second trip to Traverse Town is also where you normally get the Earthshine gem from Leon, and get the ability to summon Simba from The Lion King. This time you're getting the Ice Shine Gem, which allows you to summon the polar bear from Ice Climbers. He acts the same gameplay wise, although Simba's Proud Roar would be switched for an icy shockwave that would be sent from the polar bear's jumps. For the next world, we have Agrabah switching with the Aid Desert from Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. I'll give the explanation to Nikki Schultz because she knows a lot more about Fire Emblem than I do.
Hello, hi, Nikki here, taking an opportunity to talk about my hyperfixations. This world's party member is Sigurd, who wields the Holy Blade Tyrfing and is fighting against both the armies of Ground Vale and the Heartless to unravel the conspiracy against him and find his missing wife Deirdre, who takes the role as this world's Princess of Heart. Luckily, Sora and friends even the odds and drive the foes back, and team up with our friend Sigurd here. Eventually, they meet with an ally named Arvis at Velthomer, which takes the place of the city of Agrabah. That's when Sigurd spots Deirdre, who is quickly whisked away by Riku, but there's no time to react as Arvis suddenly betrays them, attacking with his own Heartless. Our heroes follow him into a secret underground shrine, which takes the place of the Cave of Wonders, and face off with Arvis, who transforms into the Dark Dragon Loptir, taking the place of Genie Jafar. And yeah, they beat him up real good, they get a new Keyblade called the Holy Tome, and they move on with their journey. Now we could move on as well, or I could tell you more about the plot of Where Are You Going? Wait, no, please, I swear it's interesting. Don't you want to hear about Ishtar, please? No, I beg you.
After leaving the Aid Desert, our heroes are eaten in space by the whale Monstro from Pinocchio, whose spot is taken by the whale from Star Tropics, because, well, it's a whale. Here we meet the creator of Navcom, our Jiminy Cricket analog, Dr. Steve Jones, who has taken the place of Geppetto of being the old man trapped in the giant whale. The whale is also where Riku makes his comeback in the story, kidnapping Navcom, who also serves as our Pinocchio replacement, to figure out the secrets of the heart in a non-living being. The world would end with Sora fighting the parasite cage as normal and then receiving the Fire Gleam gem, which would allow you to summon Yoshi. You might be wondering, why not just Yoshi instead of Pluto? Well, I have bigger plans for him than just a glorified messenger. Told you he'd be relevant again. Yoshi would act the same gameplay-wise as Dumbo does and allow you to ride on his back, although we'd switch the blast of water for fireballs instead. Beating the whale would also give you the Substar Keyblade, based off of all of the items Mike Jones uses back in the original Star Tropics. Escaping the whale would unlock the rest of the worlds. Taking Atlantica's spot as the next world is Spear Station from Custom Robo. Here you take on the evil Shinonome and his Robo, Zola, who's taken over Ursula's role. You'd also team up with the Robo, Ray, and his handler, Hero, in place of Ariel as a party member. To create the same water controls as Atlantica has, Sora, Luigi, and DK will be given the same jetpacks used in the Custom Robo series. To explain this sudden addition, Sora and his pals will receive robotic upgrades, which would probably not look too different from their Tron outfits in KH2. Sphere Station is where you'd receive the Metal Spark gem, which summons the supply plane from the Advance Wars series. The supply plane would work exactly like Bambi does, giving you extra drops of HP and NP and rare items from enemies. The other item you'd receive from Sphere Station would be the Rising Robo Keyblade. After the whale, you'd also gain access to Threed from Earthbound, taking the place of Halloween Town. Threed would take after Halloween Town, mostly in the aesthetics department, being a spooky city crawling with zombies, while in terms of story, it would be a mostly point-for-point recreation of its section from Earthbound. In the original game, Paula uses her PSI abilities to summon Ness to save her after being kidnapped by Porky Minich and the Happy Cult. Here, she would still be kidnapped by Porky, who in this abridged version will be running Belch's zombie factory outside of town. The major additions are that the factory is trying to make artificial Heartless, picking up the experiments plotline that Jack was doing in the original game, and that Paula will be the next Princess of Heart kidnapped. Porky and the factory would also act as direct replacements for Oogie Boogie and his castle. Sora and his party would show up as the heroes Paula summoned using her powers, and would shut down Porky's factory with help from Ness, who is this world's guest star party member. Although Paula would still end the world having been kidnapped and taken to Hollow Bastion, as she would now take Sleeping Beauty's place as one of the Princess of Heart. Once you beat Threed, you'd unlock the Omega Runner Keyblade. For the final Disney world, we have Neverland, which is a total lie because you spend the entire world on Captain Hook's ship or in Great Britain, which is probably worse than the Realm of Darkness. Because you spend the entire world on a pirate ship, this world's counterpart is the SST Cup from the Wario Land series. This would lead to Captain Syrup taking Captain Hook's place as the main antagonist of the world, and Wario taking Peter Pan's role of being the unlikely party member Sora teams up with. Although Peter was here because of Wendy, Wario would solely be here to get any treasure Syrup had on her ship. And speaking of treasure, Captain Syrup will be smuggling 3 important ones to Hollow Bastion. The first treasures are cape feathers from Mario World, which would fill the same position as the pixie dust given to Sora before he has to walk the plank. The second treasure is actually Princess Peach herself, who is doing double duty as both Queen Minnie and Cinderella's role of being another Princess of Heart. Syrup would probably kidnap her sometime after the game's intro and take her to Hollow Bastion for the endgame. You'd also receive one more treasure from looting Captain Syrup's ship, and that treasure is a Master Ball containing Mew from the Pokemon series. The Master Ball would allow you to summon him at any point in battle, and he'd be taking the same position of Genie, who you get after Agrabah normally. The Keyblade you would unlock from here would be called Final Treasure. We may be done with the Disney worlds, but there are still character counterparts in Hollow Bastion. Here we meet our final party member. In the original game, it was the Beast of Beauty and the Beast, who clawed his way across worlds just to save Belle from the clutches of Maleficent. What other hero is known for that kind of willpower? None other than the hero of time himself, Link, who would be taken directly from the adult timeline of Ocarina of Time. To match with Link, Belle's role as the final Princess of Heart would be taken by Zelda, obviously, and Maleficent's role as the leader of the villains would be taken by the Prince of Darkness himself, Ganondorf. And the dragon portion of Maleficent's battle would see Ganondorf transforming into his Ganon persona. Defeating Ganon would grant you 2 items. The first is the Keyblade, Hero's Light, and the second is the Zap Glow Gem, which would summon the Duck Hunt duo from Duck Hunt. The duo would work exactly as Mushu does, staying close to the player and shooting anything in front of Sora that looks like a threat. Even with all of that, we're still not done yet. We have 2 more characters to give counterparts to. The first is Chernobog from Fantasia. While I did have a lot of potential picks for this out-of-nowhere devil-like villain, one pick I've been continually ignoring throughout this entire exercise.
Behold, the King of the Koopas!
He fits too well. The horns, the fire, everything, the size, it just works. Although to match Chernobog's more sinister design elements, I'd like Bowser to take on his Koopa God form, Giga Bowser, from Smash Bros. Melee. To finish this off, our final character is King Michael Rodent, aka Mickey Mouse. And who else would I pick besides the Jumpman? Mario of the Mario Bros. Once again, it just works. And having Bowser being our final non-original character fight, and then Mario be our final Disney character replacement, I feel like it just works too much thematically. And that's it. That's every Disney character, world, summon, and concept given a Nintendo counterpart. Maybe I'll do a KH2 version of this once Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out. Probably not.